Oh yeah, like I have the script right here. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Ascension eSports' Elder.
No.
Oh. What?
The announcement in Discord.
Right. I'll stop you right there. Do you see what I mean?
Started going at it. I was like, wow.
Whoa. Alright, let me pause. Wait, the saved one and stretch are back for another week? This can't be happening.
Run when the rhythm's right. Go into the night. Throw until you're out of sight and you're out of my mind. Run when the rhythm's right. Go into the night. Floating as the river flows, easy as it goes to the ocean. So walk on by, I've got no reason to love you, but I do, I do, I do. So walk on by, I've got no reason to love you, but I do, I do, I do. Show me colors of the sky, but all I see is gray. You lost me when you lied. Promise me, but you never tried. Secrets in your eye, you go and run, I'll hide. Show me colors of the sky, but all I see is gray. You lost me when you lied. I don't ever wanna be crowned, just another prize. It breaks my heart, heart, breaks my heart, 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 breaks my heart, 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 breaks my heart, 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 breaks my heart. Me to the ground now, and somehow I feel like you don't know me. Shook me to the ground now, I don't even know how. Brought me to a life that you never showed me. Coming from a locked up ghost, I'll be your sound. But you're coming from the light. There's more to you than you ever thought there was. Yeah, you're coming from the light.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Ascension eSports' Elder League Week 7 matches. On the blue side, we have Good Luck Esports versus Sparks Plugs on the red. My name is TheSavedOne, now trying out play-by-play casting, and my trusty color caster sidekick is none other than Stretch. How you doing, buddy?
I feel like I've got whiplash, dude. If you
Yeah.
switch on me one more time, I swear I'm going to have to call a chiropractor.
Dude, the chiropractor is really, really fun. I really love going to the chiropractor.
Wait.
Dude, he does this thing with my back where he like rolls my shoulder and then crunches down and like my whole entire back just like goes like and just spazzes out. But it's anyways, we got 2 teams here. Are you good?
Yeah, dude, I'm fine, man. We're all good
All
here.
right, we're all good. We're all great. But we got 2 teams here. Apparently, Good Luck Esports just changed their name for whatever reason. So now there's a bunch of bans that are going to be missed. So that's exactly why you guys don't see bans right now.
Yeah, it used to be
Yeah.
that they were Tic Tac Tilt. Now they are Good Luck in Esports. The team has been reformed, reforged, refreshed, recycled, and now they're ready to get back in it and get back at it. So we'll see if we have some spicy games here. What's going to go on, because with no bans, like all these bans being missed, that means some stuff got to be left open.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of OP picks this patch, and I really do like how the 10 ban system now is here, because all of those OP picks could be gone, but they're not.
Yeah. A lot of things that can come through here. We'll see if anyone picks up. Are you kidding me, dude? All right, we'll see if anyone picks up anything like the Caitlyn. Zach's been nerfed, nothing like. So that's not anything that you really have to worry about anymore. Actually, the Zach nerfs, maybe someone out there still knows how to play that champion properly, because after having him dialed back and brought into a little bit more reason, and it takes a little bit more finesse to actually play that champion properly, but still. Other things available on the board. Actually, we're in Elder League here, so a lot of these things are just comfort picks that we're going to see for the most part. Cho'Gath taken off the board here, and that's something that we see quite popular right now, as people are really loving the amount of damage that comes out of his ultimate and the amount of tankiness that he's got available in his kit. So hard to cut through, but if he makes it to a squishy target, he can just one-shot them instantly with just a ton of true damage.
Yeah, with all of the new tank items that have been introduced with patch 7.15, Cho'Gath, like you said, is an absolute beast. But it does look like Sparks Plugs do miss 3 bans, which is very, very unfortunate. But I do want to see what the blue girl picks, and it's going to be that Maokai.
Yeah, Maokai, very popular right now, just able to have a lot of tankiness under his belt, as well as put out a decent chunk of damage. No longer is he the unkillable target that he was previously, but he's still fairly good at absorbing a lot of damage, thanks to the amount of buffs that have gone into his passive, allowing him to heal a large portion of damage while still being able to dole out a fair amount himself.
Ooh, kind of an interesting pick coming out of Sparks Plugs. It's that Nasus. It's a very interesting pick. We haven't seen it for a while.
Sparks Plugs were really struggling last week, and maybe this is them saying, hey, we want to just find a win condition with this champion pick that they've got going on. Nasus means that if they make it to that late game and they can get a decent amount of stacks onto him, they should be fairly set up to close out a game here. So if young Yao is my young can get a decent amount of stacks on this Nasus, we should be seeing some turret pressure here.
I'm already looking at these 2 drafts, and I'm very excited for the game that's about to happen in just a couple of minutes. Already Maokai Alawi for Good Luck Esports, and then responding that is Sparks Plugs coming out with the Zac and the Nasus.
Yeah, like I was saying before, Zach recently nerfed, so we'll have to see how he performs in this matchup. But I'm actually surprised that Michi chooses the Alawi for his team. Alawi notorious for having a bad matchup against Nasus. Not only can Nasus get stacks off of the tentacles, but you kind of reach this critical mass point where Alawi no longer has the damage to cut through the amount of healing that Nasus can do through his passive. And if you have the stacks on your Q up high enough, Alawi also cannot heal through the amount of damage that Nasus can deal in return in the late game. So we'll see how this ends up going down.
Yep, and the final pick for Sparks Plugs is that Orianna.
Orianna, just such a flexible pick here. And look at the amount of engage that they've got available thanks to that pickup. Orianna Ball on top of Zac is enormous for getting into the backline of the enemy team and doing a huge amount of damage with the Orianna Shockwave. So if they can set that up and be coordinated and be decisive about these initiates, they should have some clean team fights ahead of them. And not only that, but there's still a lot the enemy team has to worry about even beyond that. Like I was saying before, this Nasus, like no matter what you think about the champion, you have to agree that he does reach that critical mass point.
Oh, 100%. But if anybody is just a little bit confused about the Teemo pick, it's not actually Teemo. It is a Xayah. It's just a placeholder. Teemo is a placeholder for Xayah. Basically what a placeholder is that Contribute Boo doesn't have Xayah, so he or she picks Teemo in replace for that champion. But it does look like Sparks Plus doesn't really know that, so they are banning ADCs, which could hurt their draft by a lot.
Very true. So them not being informed there, or just maybe not having the right strategy down with their team, both Tristana, Caitlyn off the board, and then Draven taken away by Good Luck in Esports. So the pool down in the bottom lane is very, very constricted. So we'll have to see what they end up picking up.
I do want to know what options does this ADC have left? There's basically all of the ADCs that are meta currently are taken off of the board. But what exactly is left? Ezreal got buffed.
Yeah, the one thing that I would have to say is if you want free wins and you know how to play it correctly, just take MF down at the bottom lane, build some lethality, and then wait for the double ups to chunk someone for 3/4 of their life with literally no counterplay. So that has not been banned away. Also, Lucian is still a fairly good champion that is up and available. And like you were saying, Ezreal could come through here. So we'll see what they end up picking up.
Yeah, picks on both sides. We have the Janna coming in for Sparks Plugs, which is a beautiful pick right now because of utility. But on the other side, Good Luck Esports, they pick up their own LeBlanc and Blitzcrank.
Yeah, with this Janna pickup, I think they want to go with something that's got a little bit more late game. And that being said, Kog'Maw is hovered straight away. And if they have that pickup, that's a beautiful composition for him. Look at the initiate that you get with your front line on Zac and Orianna. And then the peel that you get behind that is enormous because you have double shields, once again, coming out of Janna and Orianna. So any sort of counter dive that comes through is thwarted immediately, not because of the additional health, but also because of the wither out of Nasus, and then the knockbacks and the preventative CC that comes out of that Janna as well. This Kog'Maw is very protected.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting game. It's to protect the Kog'Maw comp. We haven't seen one of these in a little bit of time, but since scaling ADCs are coming back into the meta, Kog'Maw's a pretty good fit for it.
Fantastic fit for that. And not only that, he's got a lot of build options right now. Crit has been buffed recently. He still has the on-hit build that he can go through with a Guinsoo's Rage Blade and a Blade of the Ruined King. So if he can get those items under his belt early on, he should be scaling very, very well. And not only that, but especially with this Janna, Kog'Maw does damage a lot earlier than most people would expect. So really looking to see if Acquiescence can get the Kog'Maw farm under his belt, scale into the late game, and just absolutely shred through the front line of Good Luck in Esports.
Yeah. But what was picked on the bot lane of Good Luck Esports? It was Xayah and who?
It was Xayah and... That's a good question, man. I actually was not paying attention to that last pick there. I'm trying to think of what it was now, and you have caught me.
I caught myself because I have no idea. Because my next question was, how is Xayah going to face against the Kog'Maw Janna? Because what Xayah does early game is she loves to try and lane bully. But versus a Kog'Maw Janna, can she really do that?
I think that she still can, as long as she positions herself properly and looks to not get too greedy on the pullback of the feathers. As long as she's able to get the 3 and get the lockdown, there should be some easy follow-up coming through pretty much whatever support got picked there, whether it be a Nami, Taric, Alistar, who's banned right now, Thresh. It doesn't really matter what you throw down there with the Xayah. If the snare lands, that person, whoever gets locked up, is absolutely obliterated. So we'll see what they end up doing there. By the other token, though, Janna is just the best champion in the game for protecting your ADC. So if Janna is played properly, she can do a lot of baiting, get a lot of return damage in there as well, thanks to the shields. So it really comes down to who in the support role is going to be reacting properly to the AD carry damage.
Right. Yeah, knowing these two comps, we also see that LeBlue Girl got his Alawi. We know that LeBlue Girl is really, really good at Alawi and Kled, and he's going to be on this comfort champion. And from what I've watched, it's been banned against him every single week. But now, finally, he's playing it, right? So, versus Anasis, do you think he's still going to struggle?
It depends on how he plays the lane here. It's very much a zoning game here for him. He wants to make sure that he slows down the Nasus stacking as much as possible, and by doing that, not going too aggressive. Because the thing about Alawi is you do have a little bit of mana issues even when you're landing your abilities in the early game because you haven't had time to get any damage items yet. So if you do chunk Nasus and then don't kill him, he's able to heal back up to full fairly easily. And then once again, he is very good at contesting your 10 mechanicals. So if he's able to dodge your soul pull as well, you're going to have a hard time against it no matter what player you are. But it's really about having the knowledge to not really look for poke and damage against the enemy champion, but threaten the enemy champion away from the wave with proper minion control and saving your mana bar as much as possible.
Yeah, and let's keep going through down that list. So we have the Alawi Nasus matchup all analyzed, all done. But now we got Maokai versus Zac. This is a tank matchup, but tank junglers are ideal right now.
Right, with the buffs to Cinder Hulk, it's so good to be running the tanks out of the jungle. Zac nerf recently still has the fantastic gank angles that he can come through and get onto somebody with, and with the blitz crank down in the bottom lane, you have to imagine that lack of mobility is going to encourage a lot of focusing down there, because you want to get as much gold as you possibly can onto your Kog'Maw as quick as possible. Maokai is really looking to be more of a peel-oriented jungler for the time being, but once again, Kog'Maw on the enemy team means that if you can get the root gear, get the root there, get the knockback, and follow up with an ultimate, there's not much that he can do, even with Janna's help, against all of that CC. So a lot of opportunities down here in the bottom lane for these guys.
Moving on over from the jungle, we have the mid lane matchup, Orianna versus LeBlanc. This is going to be an interesting matchup as well. Tell me a little bit more about that.
It's all about controlling that minion wave, man. Kendra Boo is really looking to push in Kotorchik as much as possible and look for the side lane roams, because that's how you really get ahead of LeBlanc. You can kill your lane opponent, but against an Orianna who can shield herself for so much, it's harder to do that. So you're better off going to another lane where your CC can be properly utilized and your burst damage can go to something a little bit more beneficial. So Kotorchik is going to be pushing in Kendra Boo as much as possible while keeping that health bar high, and then Kendra Boo is going to be battling back as much as possible, trying to open up a window where they can roam to those side lanes and try to get an advantage for their team.
And last but not least, we've gone through every single lane, single jungle pick, but now we have the bot lane. Xayah Blitzcrank versus Kog'Maw and Janna.
Two things to be looking for here. Xayah pull back for the snare and then the Blitzcrank hook. This is a very positioning-oriented matchup where Acquiescence and Supporter Feed really need to play around the minion wave as much as possible to dodge the CC out of the Sandwalker. And then if they can do that, just kind of farm up and wait for opportunities to be brought to them. Llama Man should be looking towards the bottom lane. Like I said previously, he's got great ganks available for that lane, and if they can do that and just wait for the scaling to kick in, Kog'Maw's going to be an absolute force to be reckoned with in the later stages of the game, especially against Alawi, who likes to build a lot of health and not so much resistances, because the health plays into her passive a little bit more than the resistances can. So the Kog'Maw in the late game is going to be their main goal down here, and getting him there as quickly and safely as possible. Blitzcrank and Xayah are really looking to get whatever they target they can in the early stages of the game. They don't want to get Janna, though, because the shields that she can put out, the CC that she can put out, and the amount of escapability that she's just inherently got in her kit makes it very difficult for them to follow up and kill her. But if the hook lands, man, you got to go for whatever damage you can there. So it's all about that burst aggression against on the side of Good Luck in esports, and then Sparkplugs looking to play safe and scale into the late game.
These are two comps that it's going to be really interesting to watch, see how exactly they play out, where the junglers are going to prioritize. But finally, we do have a minute left, so let's quickly go over each of the comps. Good Luck Esports, they've drafted a pretty nice comp. Tell me just a little bit about it.
It's all about the picks here. You've got the chains out of LeBlanc as well as the hook out of Blitzcrank, and they need to be on point with those skill shots. If they land any of that CC, it's a lot of easy follow-up damage coming out of Alawi, Maokai, and Xayah. So if they can get there and get someone just picked off and isolated from the rest of the group of Sparks plugs, they should be looking in this game. But by that same token, they are on the clock when looking for those picks. If you look at Sparks plugs comp, they've got a lot of hard initiate there, so they've got to be very careful.
Yep, and finally rounding off this whole entire champion select, Sparks plugs as well. They have a very nice AoE style comp. Just go into a little bit of depth about that.
It's the Kog'Maw and Nasus show when it comes to the late game, man. These guys are really looking to get these champions the resources they need to become absolute monsters come the 30-minute mark. So if they can get there, this team will be pretty much unstoppable, just because no matter which target you focus, they're going to be backed up by Janna and Orianna shield. So it becomes very, very difficult to actually kill the selected target that you're going for here. And like I said before, a lot of initiation potential available on the Zac and the Orianna. So a lot of good options here for Sparks plugs.
And we're going to be heading into the loading screen, but guys, do not go anywhere. We have Ascension eSports' Elder League Week 7 Game 1 game in just a little bit. Stay tuned, go get some water, go to the washroom. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Ascension eSports' Week 7, game number 1, where we have Good Luck Esports on the blue side versus Sparks Plugs on the red side. My name is TheSavedOne, doing your play-by-play casting, and joining me is Stretch. How you feel after that champion select, buddy?
Two very good drafts here, and a lot of different play styles to be seen, so we'll see if these guys can perform and execute properly.
Yeah, and let's introduce these teams. So on the blue side, we have Good Luck Esports. We have LeBlue Girl in the top lane, Miji in the jungle, Kendrabu in the mid lane, Hey K in ADC, and then we have the Sandwalker on support.
And over on Sparks Plugs, top lane is Yo is My Young, jungle is Llama Man, mid lane is Coder Chick, AD carry is Acquiescence, and support is Supporter Feed.
Ooh, it looks like there could be a little bit of a team fight. The Blitzcrank hook lands, but shots are going back and forth. Zaya is in the back. Shots are going from her onto the enemy team. Zac passive gets popped, and first blood goes over to Zaya. Exhaust has been dropped, but that's just to prevent some damage. 2 easy kills going over onto the favor of Good Luck Esports.
Blitzcrank hook went through, but it meant absolutely nothing. The repositioning of the enemy didn't really do that much, as they were all pretty much just touching faces, but good on Good Luck in Esports to get those 2 early kills, especially on the carries of their team. That gold landed exactly where they wanted to be, and that early advantage is exactly what these guys need, especially against a late game scaling conflict Sparks Plugs have.
And this already does not look good for Zac, because one thing that Zac utilizes in the early game is his flash and also his passive, and both of those things are down.
Not only that, but he started with his E, so his jungle pathing is going to be very slow here in the early game. A huge window for Miji to take over this jungle and try to get the first gank on this top lane, because it's a very volatile lane. The one thing that I failed to mention in Champ Select is if LeBlue Girl does get ahead of this Nasus thanks to a gank, it becomes a very difficult game for the dog.
Right, and Alawi already has 2 assists under her belt. Even though it's not a whole lot of gold, it's still just a little bit something to try and get any advantage over this Nasus as possible.
Yeah, roughly 50 gold there from those 2 assists. So yeah, anything that she can grab onto is going to be helpful for them. Top of the top lane, just trying to get that farm down. But you see that LeBlue Girl is just not doing a lot of denying here. It feels like Yo is My Young is just easily getting the farm still.
Yeah, and you can already see going all across these lanes how the blue team already has an advantage, even if in the mid lane, Orianna is kind of winning these trades and is pushing this wave in. LeBlanc is just sitting very passively, and she's not going aggressive.
And bottom lane, we saw that Supporter Feed did use that flash. So the early game advantage, though, really attributed to the fact that they got those 2 early kills. So a lot of that gold is contained in that early pressure that they threw down. So they really need to make sure that they maintain this lead and really nurture it. Otherwise, like I was saying before, they're on the clock and they're going to run out of time. Yeah,
we're already seeing these junglers go through their jungle camps. Maokai's already finishing his blue. Do you think he's going to try and go anywhere with this level 3, level 4 kind of power spike?
I expect him to go up into the top lane, like we were saying before. Very volatile. LeBlue Girl wants to be able to snowball onto Nasus and even get themselves into a position where they can dive him to prevent that farm from occurring. So if they get that early kill on Nasus, they can really make this game a lot easier for them.
Ooh, Blitzcrank hook lands in the bot lane. He's been doing this all of the laning phase onto this Janna, just because this Janna, she's playing a very easy to read type game where she's just clicking back and forth, but then she just gets hooked.
Interesting to see up in the top lane as well. Yo is My Young really just letting LeBlue Girl beat up the Soul. You don't want to ever do that pretty much unless you're going to actually go in for a fight, pretty much because it just gives her the additional healing back. Even if you're not taking that much damage, you give her the sustain of the lane by keeping the Soul there available to be hit.
Maokai going towards this mid lane. LeBlanc already getting some very nice damage off. Basically, Maokai's coming in, applying a little bit of damage. The red buff is not going to take it, but he flashes, gets the final auto attack. Miji gets another kill onto the Orianna.
Fantastic gank coming out of Miji here. Did have to use his flash to get the rest of that gank to become fruitful, but no problem whatsoever. Once again, putting a lot of advantage in the hands of Kendrabu here, and with this early advantage, I really want to see Kendra getting to these side lanes. It's easy now for LeBlue Girl, Kendrabu, and Miji to perform a 3-man dive on Yo is My Young, because they have a lot of damage available for them here in the early game.
Yeah, I mean, you can also see how tanky Alawi and Maokai are going to get. And then even LeBlanc just coming in with the damage, like you were saying, can come in for a very nice dive. We'll just see if this team can have the team communication, because we both know that this team, they're very fresh, they're very new, some revamping going on. So I don't know if they'll have the team communication to do that.
We'll see if they have that capability. But they still, regardless of what they choose to do here, and I'll say it again, they need to make sure that they extend this early lead. Bottom lane has a huge amount of a farm lead in the favor of Good Luck in Esports, but even so, they need to continue that pressure.
Yeah, we can see that Maokai and Zach are meeting in this river, but we both know tank junglers not to be the type to scrap, so what they really do need to do is get around into these lanes. Zach, we haven't seen him too much, and that's just because his flash was down, and he took E level 1, but now finally he has his flashback. Maybe he can get around into a lane?
Possibly. The issue that he's going to have right now, though, is that all of the lanes except for top lane are losing. So they really need to perform a clean gank and maybe even call in the mid laner to ensure that it's going to be more successful. Because right now it's a little bit risky to go for anything in these side lanes.
Maokai making his way towards this bot lane as well, but it looks like Xayah's going to get engaged on. She found a fight she didn't want. And Kog'Maw gets the first kill in that bot lane. That's exactly what this Kog'Maw wants.
Exactly. They need to make sure that they get this gold onto Kog'Maw now. He's still sitting behind 17 farm against Heike, but Acquiescence knows that this champion scales quite a bit better than any other AD carry in the game into the late game. So if he just stays calm, continues to capitalize on these missteps by Good Luck in Esports, he can definitely become a powerhouse.
And we've seen Kog'Maw's carry games, multiple games in the past. All he really needs is just a giant wall of a front line and just something just to protect him, because once he gets those items, like you were saying, he's going to become an absolute beast. But another thing I want to talk about is this dragon here in the bottom lane. You want to use the Kog'Maw to the maximum potential, so maybe that they maybe Sparks Plugs could go for some bot lane objectives.
Yeah, not only that, but look at who is in the top lane here. Both Nasus and Alawi love to have that mana regen to continue their sustain a lot easier there. So the person who ends up getting this Ocean Shake really relieves a lot of pressure for their top laner. So we'll end up seeing who ends up throwing down the pressure on this Drake buff.
It looks like in the mid lane there's a lot of trading going on from LeBlanc, but she's going in for very easy style poke. But a pause, sorry, has come underway. I want to see what exactly it is.
Yeah, a little bit of a
everyone's
pause
ready.
here. Everyone's ready? All right, cool.
Everyone's ready. It looks like everybody's ready. Oh, but the ADCDC. That's okay.
No, all right.
It's because he got hooked.
Yeah.
But everything's good. Everything's good. Everything's great. But nothing much really happening here in this early game, except for a lot of poke going down back and forth, but no real scraps going in from mid lane and top lane. Just a huge farming matchup, and now it's the point of the game where blue buffs are being donated. And I'm also kind of scared for this bot lane tower. But Hook lands there in the bot lane. Exhaust going down as well. Let's see if the damage can be coming out. And it is. Kog'Maw passive slowly going towards Xayah. Flashes, and the final auto attack coming in from the Janna. Zach also coming in from the left, but very nice reaction timing coming out from the Blitzcrank. Orianna making her roam all the way from the mid lane. Zach slowing the Blitzcrank, but Maokai's coming in from the top of the map.
What is this?
And another pause. What are you guys doing?
Oh my goodness.
Ganked by phone call.
Someone's got a kidding me, dude.
What's going on here, man?
Hey, what is this clown fiesta? I keep having to switch back to the title screen to prevent the ghost, just in case. It's really annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, how you doing, Stretch?
Dude, I'm doing great, man. This is a pretty spicy game we got on our hands.
It is. I'm slowly trying to transition from the color caster to the play-by-play. This is, it's kind of hard. I'll do it.
Can you do me a favor and back off your mic a little bit?
Right. Okay, I'll go back here.
Because I think you're peaking somewhat, and it's. Oh Jesus! All right, we're back in there.
Yeah. But Orianna Shockwave landing onto the Blitzcrank. Let's bounce, carrying the Maokai into the middle of 3 very, very low members. But does Maokai have the damage? Answer is no, but LeBlanc finally making her way from the mid lane over down into the bot lane. Picks herself up 1 kill. She has the double buffs. Procs the Zac passive. Can she destroy these blobs before it actually gets to the Zac? Answer is no right now, but it doesn't even matter. Maybe. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Because LeBlanc got a kill.
Good roam coming out of Kendra Boo. A little bit late, but still got some return kills there. So either way, I guess a little bit of yield is better than none whatsoever. None whatsoever, and that still extends this mid lane lead even further. Kendra Boo doing a fantastic job of collecting gold for themselves, and now sitting about 800 gold over the likes of Koderchik. So really, really good pressure coming out of this LeBlanc.
Yeah, we see all of Good Luck Esports slowly expanding their leads. Maokai, he had a little bit of a lead. The only person that really isn't doing too much with their lead is Alawi, but she doesn't really need to here in the early game versus Nasus. She is way over the amount of farm that Nasus has, so she's sitting in a pretty nice spot.
Top lane looks like a little bit of aggression there, but touching on the top lane LeBlanc Nasus matchup, he doesn't really want a lot of gold, just wants to deny as much as possible. Bot lane pressure there.
In the bot lane, the root is gonna hit, but that's the ultimate coming out from the Janna. A lot of auto attacks going back and forth between these two ADCs, but Zai could not output the amount of damage that she did need, but she did blow the resources that they do need in order to get a kill later on. But Maokai finding himself in a fight, but Zach just gonna eat away.
Good invade coming out of Miji. Actually gets the smite away from Llama Man on the red buff. Picking up that means that there's less damage coming through on these ganks. Bottom lane behind the turret.
Ooh, in the bot lane, the hook lands onto the Janna, but the focus is the Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw slowly dies, but Blitzcrank is still focusing the Janna. Thing is, Janna's just a little bit too fast, and the cooldown is just too much for that hook. So Janna going to be going away to safety, but Kog'Maw's dead in the bot lane.
Great pressure coming out of both Heike and the Sandwalker here. Oh, jungle fight.
Oh, Miji camps in the bush, and I'm guessing Zach knew that Miji was in there, but it didn't even matter. Ultimate coming out from Miji. It's not going to hit anything but the Krugs. LeBlanc finally roaming from the mid lane into the top side jungle, but it gives her a lot of time just to relax, farm up, get whatever she needs. And that's just free reign for the LeBlanc just for a couple of seconds.
And now we get to see what Good Luck in Esports decide to do with this bot lane pressure. They've gotten First Blood turret onto their AD carry, and it opens up that bottom side for them, but they might not even want to go to the mid lane just yet. They might want to continue this pressure on Kog'Maw and try to limit the amount of farming he gets to do. So we'll see what they end up doing, but it looks like they are making that rotation towards the mid or top side.
Finally, the blue buff coming up for the LeBlanc, so now she is going to get a very nice lead there in the mid lane. She gets to spam her abilities, goes in, just uses her full entire combo, goes back out. But Blitzcrank coming in from the left side. Can the hook land? The knockup does. Do they even need the hook? No, they do not. LeBlanc using her blue buff to the maximum potential as well as her first item. That's that Hextech Gunblade.
Top lane, we might have a dive on our hands. The blue girl is sitting 2 tentacles. Nasa's half-life. This is a perfect opportunity, but other roams coming through here. Looks like they're trying to stack a lot of people.
Yeah, they can stack a lot of people, and they are trying to, but Nasa's slowly backing off from his own tower, but this is exactly what Good Luck in Esports needs. They need all of the tier 1 towers, and they're doing that perfectly.
Not only that, but this rotation means that Nasus loses a place to farm, so anything that it can do to put pressure on the lane that Nasus is in is huge for them, because it just continually delays that point where Nasus actually becomes relevant in the game here. So any play, any 3-man roam that they can do on the Nasus is huge for them.
Right, and Zach going in for a little bit of an engage. Less bounce, misses. That's all because the blue girl flashed out of there, and that's exactly what she needed to do in that situation, so she goes to safety. But the rest of the rotation going in from the top lane down into the mid lane, they want this tier 1 tower.
Yeah, hook goes wide there, but it looks like top lane could have gone for a 2v1. No, jump in.
Llama Man trying to go in, but misses his E. He also does not have Let's Bounce, so he has to flash out of that one alive. But you also see that Maokai roots up one person. Can they kill the Orianna before she can get on rooted? The answer is yes. Hook lands there onto the Nasus, and he's going to get slowly rooted up. That's a double kill for the LeBlanc there in the mid lane.
Fantastic Maokai ultimate coming out of Michi there. Sets up his team perfectly, and he's able to follow up with a beautiful snare on Koderchik, Yao is my young to get the kill. Oh my goodness, dude, that damage.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
He's able to just set up his team beautifully there, and that's not something you see typically with this new Maokai ultimate. People really struggle to use it properly, and I'm happy to see it well utilized.
Yeah, it was well utilized. The only thing that he could have done was aim it just a little bit more towards the tower. Would have picked up just a little bit more members, but you got the one pick, you have some gold, and you did give your LeBlanc a double kill. So at the end of the day, you are very, very happy. Only thing is Zaya just needs to watch her positioning in those team fights. But anyways, 13 minutes into this game, that's very surprising. I thought it was later. But 11-5 is the score of this game, and already a very nice gold lead going over for Good Luck Esports.
Yeah, Good Luck Esports are able to maintain control of the map thanks to that early game pressure that came out of that early invade. The 2 kills were well utilized here, and as we saw in the mid lane, that entire time, Blue Girl continued pushing top, limiting Yo Is My Young's farming space and safe space to move. So this really opens up the map for the rest of Good Luck in Esports, and hopefully they can push this in and continue on towards their dominance. That Ocean Drake is still sitting up, though. They might shift their attention towards that.
And that's the thing that me and you talk about sometimes, where some teams won't go for those utility style dragons because they think it's not that great. But if you're not going to kill the first dragon, how are you going to get to the rest? So at some point, I think that Good Luck Esports needs to go for this dragon. It needs to be sometime soon. But finally, Good Luck Esports, they've killed every single tier 1 tower, and then the tier 2 in the top lane coming in from Malawi. But now their next point of the game is they need to get objectives, but they also need to get some more towers.
Yeah, Alawi has passed the point of no return against Nasus. They can easily 2v1 both Nasus and Zac if they're not careful.
Oh, it's exactly what you were talking about. It's the 2v1 situation. Tentacles going all over the place. Zac slowly falling and dies. Blue Girl, he survives with just little HP. Yo is my young. I don't know. He gets out with little HP. He had to flash out of there. Blue Girl maybe looking for a tentacle. Couldn't reach it. But this gives free reign for his team to do whatever he wants across the map in the bot lane. Kendra, Boo, slowly falling to low HP as well, even in the top lane. Oriana trying to put the pressure up there, but it does give free reign for Miji and Heike to get that mid lane tower.
Yeah, and this is exactly what you want to see from an Alawi player. The 2v1 is the bread and butter of that champion. You have no engage, no ACC on the enemy team, and so the only thing you can do as Alawi is try to draw more people away from the enemy team and try to give your team an advantage.
Zac needs to get out of this situation before anything can happen. He got rooted and silenced, but he still got the E off. So he goes to safety, but that just means Zac has to go all the way back to base and then all the way back for the rest of his team, while the rest of the blue team can just go in siege.
Yep, top lane, once again, little Blue Girl pushing in, but this kind of tricky play style that Good Luck in Esports is putting forth is fantastic for them. Being able to just take over the entirety of the enemy jungle means they limit the amount of income that Llama Man has. They limit the amount of vision that's available to the entirety of Spark's Plug, so they want to continue this pressure as much as possible. Top lane.
Yep, Llama Man goes in for a very nice engage. The Blue Girl cannot get his ultimate off, even though he did pop it. Gives the rest of his team a little bit of opportunities there in the bot lane, but that's a very nice kill onto the Tentacle Goddess in the top lane.
And this is the reason why Blue Girl did hesitate to go in for that fight. The Soul Pull was already used on Yo Is My Young before Zac came flying in, and if you don't have that, it's really hard to win that fight.
Heike trying to 2v1 in this situation and gets it all off. The shockwave being dodged by her. She's just dodging every single ability there in the bot lane, but that's the Kog'Maw passive going off. A little bit of damage going down. Miji finding himself in a 1v3, 1v4 now situation, and all of the kiting is going back. The Let's Bounce finalizes the kill. Heike, beautiful kiting by him in the team fight, but the fight is not over. Zac saying you cannot escape and gives the kill right on over to the Nasus, +6 for him.
And yeah, Nasus getting that kill is going to help him out just a little bit, but this entire time that fight went down without Blue Girl being on the map. They went and extended for something while they did not have the counterbalance to their pressure. So without that, it's an even fight that Sparks Plugs is able to pick up. And if you're the likes of Good Luck in Esports, you never want to take that that even fight against a team comp that's got as hard a engage as Sparks Plugs.
Yeah. But finally, 17 minutes into this game, the first real team fight just happened there. It was very wishy-washy because you saw that Zaya was going for a very hard engage and she got all of the kiting that she needed to get off. She basically just 1v4'd at that point, but then the rest of her team followed up. But in doing that, she had to trade her own life and one other life. But off of that, Very nice gold lead coming out for Good Luck Esports.
Yeah, and it's huge for the 18-minute mark, man. This is a 10K gold lead roughly at the 18-minute mark. So these guys are enormous compared to the enemy team. 2K basically on each of the members above the respective counterparts. So a lot of power in the hands of Good Luck in Esports here, and because of that, they're able to take over this Rift Herald very easily.
Yep, Rift Herald going on over to Good Luck Esports. Now we know what a Rift Herald can do to one of these towers. It can basically just one-shot it at this point in the game. So I really do want to see, do they keep it very simple? Do they just place it mid? Or do you want to go into the top lane while your Alawi's in the bottom lane?
I think no matter what they choose, they probably want to just continue their 4-1 push. Top lane might have some damage, though.
It looks like there could be a team fight breaking out. Blitzcrank walking into the middle of a couple of members, has to flash
No
out.
Kog'Maw.
Disengage. Oh, in the bot lane. That's LeBlue Girl just completely deleting, but Nass is finding himself in a 1v4 situation, gets rooted up because of the Xayah, but he's tanking up so much, but could not get a kill. Miji flashing into the enemy tower, but he is so freakishly tanky at this point, just tanks a couple of shots, and he picks up a very nice kill in the bottom left bounds, bringing the Blue Girl into tower range, but tower is still focusing on the bot lane tower. Very nice TP as well coming in from LeBlanc in the bot lane, just so that Alawi did not have to tank anything really. But this is just a humongous just slaughter fest coming out from this blue team. You see that Xayah wants to even dive, and she gets a kill onto that Zac, but the tower dies in the bot lane, tower dies in the top lane. Miji maybe trying to 1v1 the Kog'Maw, but Kog'Maw has enough damage, but a 1-for-1 trade at the end of the day. Blitzcrank pulling in the Nasus once Nasus has respawned. The Kayn is not really a Kayn anymore because he is not alive at all anymore. Support or feed has to run towards the enemy base, has to run towards the tower even, as Hey-K is just absolutely popping off, takes one more tower shot and falls. Inhibitor in the top lane, inhibitor in the bot lane falls, and that's the end of the team fight. Hopefully, maybe. Zach? No,
not gonna go for that one.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's just so much dominance off of that Rift Herald power play. A lot of it stemmed from the fact that Acquiescence was the person that for some reason was chosen to stop the LeBlue Girl split push. Definitely not the guy that you want to go down here, because he will be two-shot instantly and without a second thought. So not only that, but I think that Acquiescence is just the bulk of Sparks Plug's damage right now. They need him in the team fights as often as possible. So despite Yo is My Young not wanting to have to go down there against LeBlue Girl, he's got to do it. He's got to be the person to delay, because the rest of the team comp is a solid unit that needs to be together to operate.
Yeah, and even though he is 3, 5, and 4, it doesn't even matter, because he is basically the one member that has all the tank shred. He is the one that it can kite out those tanks if they do try and engage onto him. But it's looking like it's not really going to get to that point. I want to say, just because Good Luck Esports, they have just so much burst all across the board.
And it's not even really the burst, it's the fact that they've got this enormous gold lead that they're working with.
Right.
15K? Are you kidding me? At the 20-minute mark? These guys are immensely ahead.
And Hey-K can just walk up to an Orianna and just auto-attack and say, hey, I'm auto-attacking you, what can you do? Orianna just basically says nothing. Can't do anything, bro.
Yeah, no response from Orianna.
Oh? Potential steal coming in from Zac, but Blitzcrank picks it up with the ultimate. AK zoning off, 2 of the members have to flash in to the Kog'Maw, gets 1 kill for her. Can she regen? Answer is yes. And even tanks the Kog'Maw passive at the end of the day, says thank you very much. Picks herself up a very nice double kill. Now you just see the rest of Good Luck Esports just walk into the enemy base.
Yeah, LeBlue Girl already in there as well. Once again, putting a repeat down of this top lane matchup, as Yo Is My Young has nothing available to stop this Alawi at the moment. So looks like it's going to be an easy close.
Oh, Nasus just walks into 3 members trying to keep his towers alive. Can't even do that. Next tower number 1 falls, next tower number 2 falls. And you see the rest of this blue team just trying to pad their KDAs just a little bit. They do not want to end this game. They want a little bit more kills. They see kills in their sights. But the Nexus is slowly falling at 22 minutes into the game. A very nice and clean game played by Good Luck Esports. Finally, at the end of the day, is this game going to end? I don't know. But yeah, no, it is.
We'll just have to wait and see how it ends. It has ended.
There you go. Yeah. That was a great game. That was fun to watch. It was a slaughter, but it was fun.
Yeah, definitely a good one. And I think it's a lot of good luck in esports, flexing their muscles. They say, hey, we're a brand new team, but even if you give us those 2 early cheese kills in the early game, we know exactly how to extend that lead all the way to your nexus. So you really need to be careful against this composition. And I have to say, Miji plays a fantastic jungle. He's very aggressive. He knows how to catch people out, and he knows how to spot opportunities very quickly.
Yeah, he was very, very proactive throughout the whole entire game, just going wherever his team needed him. So he played a very nice jungle game. But I think I'm the one that asked you, who's the MVP of this game?
It's interesting because I think that everyone played a very good game here. I'm going to say Miji just because, once again, he knows how to get his team ahead. He was in the mid lane early on, despite having those 2 early kills, going towards both LeBlanc and Heike. So he was just there ready to get Kendrabu ahead yet again, knowing that if Kendrabu is ahead on this composition, they've got the wave push to get to the side lanes, and it becomes just a more of a chain reaction effect. Not only that, but in the mid game, fantastic ultimates out of him, good catch potential as well, flashing onto the opponents to make sure that his carries are able to finish them off in a timely manner. So really good play coming out of Miji. And then in a close second place, I will say LeBlue Girl, I see you. Trust me, I know what it is. Like, that pressure coming out of the top lane really opened up the entire map for the entirety of Good Luck in Esports. So good performances out of both of these guys. But that being said, everyone else did a fantastic job as well.
Sure. Yeah, and now we're going to be heading into game number 2. Now, the final question that I want to ask you before we actually go for a break is, what does Sparks Plugs need to do in order to maybe try and come back in game number 2? Because we know that game number 1 doesn't decide the whole entire series. But what do Sparks Plugs, once again, what do they need to do in order to maybe come back?
Well, once the big glaring thing, of course, is they've got to clean up their early game. Like, level 1, you can't afford to give 2 kills to the enemy team no matter what you're doing. So shift to a more defensive stance when it comes to defending your jungle, and then from that point, look to make sure that you're setting your lanes up properly for good ganking positions for your jungle. Top lane was always available for Llama Man to show up with Yo as my young and try to get some kills there, but it's not a good lane to gank because LeBlue Girl can always 2v1 past level 4 in that situation. Bottom lane is where he needed to show up, but could not get there thanks to that level 1 just shenaniganry.
And after all this said and done, we're going to be heading into a little bit of a break, guys, but do not go anywhere. We have Ascension eSports' Elder League coming back in just a couple of minutes. Stay tuned.